I used to think my life was simple. I used to think safety was something you could build with the right people. Emily was my peace. Ryan was my brother. That is how I described them to anyone who asked. You're lucky, Ryan once told me. Not everyone finds someone like her. Emily smiled and squeezed my hand. You always make things sound dramatic, she said. I laughed. Because I am dramatic. My room was where everything felt right. The walls had heard my plans before anyone else. I talked to Emily there about trips we would take, about the apartment we would rent, about the future that felt close enough to touch. Ryan had slept on the floor of that same room during hard nights. I trusted him there. Nothing bad ever happens here, I once said, half joking. Emily rolled her eyes. Don't say things like that, Ryan smirked. He thinks he's untouchable. Maybe I did. That evening I came home early. My shift ended sooner than expected, and I wanted to surprise Emily. I imagined her sitting on my bed, scrolling on her phone, smiling when she saw me. I unlocked the door quietly. From the hallway, I heard my name. It was soft. It was familiar. Emily's voice. I thought he'd be gone longer. She said. My feet stopped moving. Ryan laughed. Relax. He never comes back early. My heart began to pound. I told myself I was misunderstanding. I told myself there was an explanation waiting behind the door. Just be quick, Emily whispered. The sound that followed was not a word. It was enough. I leaned against the wall, my hand still on my keys. My room was a few steps away, my safe place. The place where I planned my life. Inside, my life was being rewritten without me. Ryan, Emily said again, breathless now. I closed my eyes. I thought about opening the door. I imagined shouting. I imagined breaking something. I imagined asking why. Instead, I stood there. I listened. Every sound felt like a decision being made for me. You're sure he doesn't know? Ryan asked. He trusts you, she replied. He trusts both of us. That sentence hurt more than anything else. My chest burned. My legs felt weak. I wanted to disappear. I stepped back slowly, afraid the floor might betray me. I didn't knock. I didn't interrupt. I didn't save anything. I walked out of my own home. Outside, the air felt cold. My phone buzzed. A message from Emily appeared. Where are you? I stared at the screen and didn't reply. I already knew the answer to every question I was afraid to ask. I stood there, frozen, listening to the echo of a room that was never safe at all. I stayed there longer than I should have. Cars passed behind me. Someone laughed down the street. Life kept moving while mine collapsed in silence. I whispered to myself, this isn't real. But it was. My phone buzzed again. Did I do something wrong? Emily texted. I almost replied. My fingers shook. I typed, erased, typed again. Ryan's voice echoed in my head. He trusts both of us. I slid the phone into my pocket. I understood something then, standing in the dark. The betrayal wasn't just what they were doing. It was the fact that they thought I would never find out. I took a slow breath. I didn't know what I would do next. I only knew that the man who walked into that hallway would never walk back out the same. I felt my chest tighten, not with anger, but clarity. The room behind that door was no longer mine. What came next would be built without them, starting from this quiet moment. I stood still, breathing slowly, letting the truth settle, knowing everything after this would change forever for me alone. I didn't open the door because my body refused to move. My hand was inches away from the handle, but fear locked every muscle. I stood there listening, trying to convince myself I was wrong. Be quiet, Emily whispered. I am being quiet, Ryan replied. You're the one shaking. That was his voice. There was no mistake. I knew the way he laughed when he thought he was clever. I knew the way she spoke when she felt guilty but excited. My chest felt tight. My breath came out uneven. This is stupid, Emily said softly. We shouldn't be doing this here. He won't know, Ryan answered. He trusts us. Those words hit me again, harder this time. Trust. I had given it freely. I had defended Ryan when people warned me about him. I had chosen Emily over every doubt I ever had. I remembered Ryan saying, you're too nice for your own good. I remembered Emily laughing and saying, that's why I love him. My hands started shaking. I pressed my palm against the wall to stay upright. My heart felt like it was tearing itself apart, slow and painful. I thought about opening the door. I imagined their faces when they saw me. I imagined shouting, asking why, demanding answers that wouldn't fix anything. You're sure he's not home? Emily asked. I'd hear him, Ryan said. Relax. I swallowed hard. There were signs before this. Small moments I ignored because love made me blind. Emily canceling plans at the last minute. Ryan knowing things he shouldn't have known. The way they stopped talking when I entered the room. You're overthinking, Emily had told me once. Ryan added, not everyone is out to hurt you. I believed them. Now I stood outside my own room, feeling like an outsider in my own life. My head spun. Part of me wanted to burst in and end it all right there. Another part wanted to run until the sound of their voices disappeared forever. Ryan, Emily said quietly, yeah, this feels wrong. He laughed. So did lying the first time. You get used to it. Something inside me broke at that moment. Not loudly, not in a way anyone could hear. It just snapped. I stepped back. Each step away from that door felt heavier than the last. My legs moved even though my mind screamed at me to stop. I walked down the hallway, my ears burning, my thoughts racing. I told myself I'd confront them later. I told myself I just needed air. I told myself this wasn't real. Outside, the night felt unreal. Too calm, too normal. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I didn't check it. I already knew who it would be. I leaned against my car and slid down until I was sitting on the pavement. My hands covered my face. I didn't cry. I couldn't. I felt empty instead. Why didn't you open the door? I whispered to myself. The answer came quietly. Because once I did, everything would be final. I stood up and walked away from my home. Each step felt like betrayal against myself, but also survival. Silence became my shield. I realized then that screaming wouldn't save me. Fighting wouldn't change what I heard. Silence was the only thing I had left. That choice followed me into the night. I didn't open the door, and that decision would haunt me longer than any words I could have shouted. Emily noticed it the next morning. You're quiet, she said, watching me from the kitchen. Did I do something? I kept my eyes on my phone. I'm just tired. She nodded too quickly. Yeah, same. Silence filled the space between us. It felt thick, uncomfortable. Not the kind we used to enjoy. You didn't text me last night, she added. I fell asleep. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Must have been a deep sleep. I wanted to laugh. I wanted to scream. Instead, I took a sip of coffee and burned my tongue, welcoming the pain. Later that day, Mark caught up with me outside work. You okay? He asked. You look like hell. I'm fine, I said. He raised an eyebrow. That wasn't convincing, I shrugged. Just life. Mark studied me for a moment. If you say so, just don't disappear, all right? That word stayed with me. Disappear. I already felt like I was fading. That evening, Emily invited me to meet her friend Sarah. I almost said no. Almost. Sarah hugged Emily but barely looked at me. When she did, her eyes dropped fast. Hey, I said. Hey, she replied, forcing a smile. We sat together, talking about nothing. Movies. Work. Random plans. Every word felt rehearsed. Emily laughed too loud. Sarah avoided my gaze. I noticed every small thing now. The way they exchanged looks. The way conversations stopped when I spoke. You okay? Emily asked again when Sarah stepped away. I met her eyes. Why do you keep asking that? Because you feel distant, she said softly. Did I hurt you somehow? I wanted to tell her everything. I wanted to say, I heard you. Instead, I shook my head. No, you didn't. She reached for my hand. I let her, even though it felt wrong. You know I'd tell you if something was wrong, she said. I nodded. I know. That was the lie we both agreed to live with. On the walk home, my thoughts turned darker. Every memory replayed with new meaning. Every smile felt fake. Every promise felt dirty. I felt ashamed. Ashamed for loving her so deeply. Ashamed for defending Ryan. Ashamed for staying silent. You're quiet again, Emily said. I'm thinking. About what? I hesitated. Us. She stopped walking. What about us? I searched her face for honesty and found none. Do you ever feel guilty for things you don't say? Her eyes widened for half a second. Then she smiled. Everyone has secrets. That answer scared me. Back at my place, she sat on the bed like she always did. The same bed. The same room. Everything felt tainted now. She touched my arm. I miss you, even when you're right here. I pulled away slightly. Do you? Yes, she said quickly. Of course I do. I looked at her and realized something painful. I wasn't angry anymore. I was embarrassed. Embarrassed that I once believed every word. Say something, she urged. I swallowed. I don't know what to say. She leaned closer. Just tell me you're still here. I forced myself to meet her eyes. I'm here. She smiled with relief and rested her head on my shoulder. I love you. The words echoed in my head, empty and weightless. I stared at the wall and understood the truth. I didn't want to admit love didn't hurt. Lies did, and her words meant nothing to me anymore. When I thought about Ryan, the sadness started changing shape. It wasn't soft anymore, it was sharp. You always get things handed to you, Ryan once said, laughing after I got promoted. You could have applied too, I replied. Nah, he said. Some people are just lucky. I used to think that was harmless. Now I hear the bitterness clearly. Ryan had always competed with me. When I failed, he smiled. When I succeeded, he joked. I told myself that was just his personality. You mess things up a lot, he said once when I lost a client. At least I try, I replied. That's what makes it fun to watch, he said, grinning. I laughed back then. I shouldn't have. I remembered how he reacted when Emily and I got serious. You sure about her? He asked. Yeah, I said. He shrugged. Just saying, people change. At the time, I thought he was being protective. Now I know he was being patient. Every memory replayed differently. Every comment carried a second meaning. You don't deserve her, he once joked after an argument Emily and I had. What? I said. I mean, she's way out of your league, he laughed. Emily laughed too. That laugh stays with me. At work, Jason noticed I wasn't myself. You look like you're carrying something heavy, he said while we grabbed coffee. I'm fine, I replied automatically. He shook his head. You say that too fast. I stayed quiet. Jason leaned closer. Let me guess. You trusted the wrong people. I looked at him then. How did you know? He sighed. Because I've been there. Guys like you think loyalty protects you. What does that mean? It means you give people access to hurt you, he said. And some people wait for that. His words hit harder than I expected. You think Ryan planned this? I asked without thinking. Jason didn't answer right away. I think some people don't steal by accident. That night, Ryan called me. I didn't answer. He texted instead. Bro, you've been off lately. Everything cool? I stared at the screen. I remembered him mocking my fears. I remembered him standing a little too close to Emily. I remembered defending him when someone called him selfish. He'd never do that, I said back then. Ryan smiled. Good, because trust is rare. Now I understood. Ryan didn't make a mistake. He made a choice. He waited. He watched. He took what he wanted when he thought I was weak. I wasn't blind anymore. I wasn't stupid either. I looked in the mirror and spoke out loud. This isn't my fault. Saying it felt strange, freeing. I stopped asking what I did wrong. I started asking why he did what he did. Jason's voice echoed in my head. Some people wait. Ryan waited for my comfort. Emily waited for my trust. They used both. The sadness faded into clarity. Clear, cold, and steady. Ryan wasn't my brother. He was my enemy. And for the first time since that night, I stopped blaming myself and started seeing them exactly as they were. I sat in my car with the engine off, staring at nothing. The street was empty, but my head was loud. Breathe, I told myself. Just breathe. My hands were shaking. I slammed them against the steering wheel. Idiot, I whispered. You knew something was wrong. My chest tightened, and suddenly I couldn't hold it anymore. A sound came out of me that didn't feel human. I bent forward, gripping the wheel, crying so hard my vision blurred. Why? I shouted, why both of you? No one answered. I hit the steering wheel again. The pain felt deserved. My phone lit up on the seat. Emily's name. I grabbed it and started typing. How long has this been happening? Delete. I heard you. Delete. Was I ever enough? Delete. My fingers hovered, desperate, weak. Stop, I said out loud. Don't beg. I dropped the phone and laughed bitterly. Look at you, still hoping. My thoughts shifted to Ryan. I imagined pulling him aside, grabbing his collar. Say it, I imagined myself yelling. Say you planned this. I pictured him smirking, calm, unapologetic. You're overreacting, his voice echoed in my head. I shook my head hard. No, I won't give you that. The tears came again, heavier this time. I covered my face. I trusted you, I whispered. I trusted both of you. The truth hurt more than the betrayal. I wasn't just angry. I was disappointed in myself. I replayed every moment I stayed silent. Every time I ignored my instincts. You're imagining things, I told myself back then. Don't ruin something good with doubt. I ruined myself with silence instead. I was scared, I admitted quietly. Scared to lose you. Scared to be alone. Saying it out loud broke something inside me. I wasn't strong. I wasn't wise. I was afraid. I wiped my face and stared at my reflection in the windshield. You let this happen, I said. Not because you're weak, but because you wanted to believe. That realization hurt, but it was honest. My phone buzzed again. A message from Ryan this time. Bro, you good? You've been distant. I laughed. A hollow sound. Distant, I repeated. I typed back a reply. We'll talk later. I deleted it. I didn't owe him anything. I leaned back in the seat and closed my eyes. My body felt heavy, empty. I can't fix this by yelling, I told myself. I can't win by losing control. I knew if I confronted them now, I would fall apart in front of them. I would give them tears instead of consequences. That would destroy me, I said softly. Not them. The realization settled in slowly. This pain was mine to carry, but also mine to use. I wasn't at the bottom because they pushed me there. I was there because I let them in too deeply. I trusted blindly, I admitted. I stayed quiet when I should have spoken. I feared being alone more than being respected. The car felt too small. I opened the door and stepped out, breathing in cold air. I won't do that again, I said. The words didn't feel powerful yet. They felt fragile, but they were real. I looked up at the dark sky and felt smaller than ever. This is the lowest point, I whispered. This is where I stop. I got back into the car, not healed, not strong, but aware. That night, alone in my car, I didn't find answers. I found the truth, and it hurt enough to change me forever. I woke up to my phone buzzing again. Emily's name filled the screen. I watched it until it stopped. Don't, I told myself. Just don't. It rang again. I flipped the phone face down. You want answers, a voice in my head said. No, I replied quietly. I want peace. I made coffee and let it go cold. The silence felt heavy, but it felt honest. Another call. Then a message. Please talk to me. I'm worried. What did I do? I typed a reply. We need to talk. I deleted it. Talking won't fix betrayal, I said out loud. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Ryan. Double quotes, bro. Why are you ignoring me? Did he mess up? Say something? I stared at the screen and felt nothing. No anger. No urge to explain. I don't owe you closure, I whispered. I blocked his number. The moment felt final, scary, clean. I blocked Emily too. My hands shook afterward. I sat down and breathed slowly. This is me choosing myself, I said. Even if it hurts. At work, Mr. Collins called me into his office. You've been distracted, he said, folding his hands. But I also see potential. I can handle my work, I replied. I know, he said. That's why I'm offering you something difficult. He slid a folder across the desk. This project needs discipline, he continued. Long hours, pressure, no excuses. I hesitated. Why me? Because you don't quit, he said. And because you need focus. He wasn't wrong. I'll do it, I said. Mr. Collins nodded. Good, this will change things for you. As I left his office, my phone buzzed from an unknown number. Please, Emily wrote. Just explain. I deleted the message. I'm done explaining, I told myself. I'm done begging. That night I worked late. I ignored the noise in my head by drowning it in effort. Stay sharp, Mr. Collins said as he passed my desk. I will. I replied. Every task I finished felt like control returning to me. I didn't post online. I didn't hint at pain. I didn't chase anyone. This isn't revenge, I reminded myself. It's discipline. At home, I sat alone and felt the urge to reach out. Just one message, my mind suggested. No, I answered. One message turns into 10. I opened my laptop instead and planned my week. Work, gym, sleep, repeat. This is how I win, I said quietly. Not by shouting. Not by crying in front of them, by becoming unreachable. I lay in bed and stared at the ceiling. They chose to hurt me, I whispered. I choose not to chase. For the first time, the silence didn't feel empty. It felt powerful. I closed my eyes knowing something had shifted. I didn't beg. I didn't explain. I chose myself, and that choice had already started changing everything. Time moved forward even when I didn't feel ready. Days blended together. I stayed busy. That was the point. At work, Mark leaned against my desk one afternoon. You hear about Ryan? I didn't look up. No, he got fired, Mark said. Something about missing deadlines. Showing up late. I nodded slowly. That happens. Mark studied my face. You don't seem surprised. I'm not, I replied. He hesitated. Him and Emily are together now. Like, openly, I finally looked at him. Good for them. Mark frowned. You don't mean that. I don't feel anything, I said honestly. Later that day, Sarah messaged me. Can we talk? She wrote. I didn't reply right away. I let the phone sit while I finished my work. That evening, I met her at a cafe. She wouldn't meet my eyes. I'm sorry, she said quickly. I should have told you. I stayed quiet. You trusted me, she continued, and I protected her instead. Why? I asked. She swallowed. Because I thought it would pass. I thought you'd never find out. I nodded. That's what everyone thought. She looked like she wanted me to comfort her. I'm not here to forgive you, I said. I'm here to listen. Sarah sighed. Emily isn't okay, I raised an eyebrow. That's not my problem. She keeps asking about you, Sarah said. She says you've changed. I had to, I replied. Sarah leaned forward. She regrets it. I laughed quietly. Regret isn't the same as loyalty. Sarah nodded, ashamed. Ryan's been taking it out on her. He drinks a lot now. That's his choice, I said. You don't feel bad? She asked. I shook my head. I feel free. Sarah looked at me like she didn't recognize me anymore. Emily thought you'd fight, she admitted. She thought you'd yell, beg, do something. I smiled slightly. That's why she lost. A week later, Jason caught me in the break room. Looks like you're doing better, he said. I am. You hear the rumors? He asked. I hear enough. Jason nodded. People always fall apart when the reason they did wrong disappears. What does that mean? I asked. It means they needed you to feel powerful, he said. Without you, they're just exposed. That night, Emily called from a blocked number. I answered without speaking. I messed up, she said softly. I don't recognize my life anymore. I stayed silent. Ryan isn't who I thought he was, she continued. He's angry all the time. I finally spoke. You chose him. I chose wrong, she whispered. Yes, I said calmly. You did. She started crying. Don't you care? I care about myself now, I replied. There was a long pause. I miss you, she said. I exhaled slowly. You miss how safe I made you feel. She didn't deny it. I can't fix this, she said. I know. I replied. I ended the call. I didn't feel powerful because they were falling apart. I felt powerful because I wasn't. I went to bed that night without checking my phone again. Their lives were unraveling, but mine was finally steady. And for the first time, I didn't need to look back to keep moving forward. Emily showed up unannounced. I need to talk, she said when I opened the door. I stepped aside without a word. She walked in slowly, like she was entering a place she no longer belonged. You look different, she said. I feel different, I replied. She sat on the edge of the couch, twisting her fingers. You've been avoiding me. I've been choosing myself. Her eyes filled instantly. I deserve that, I stayed stammering. Say what you came to say. She swallowed hard. I messed up. I nodded. I know. Her voice cracked. I didn't plan it. I was lonely. You were busy. Ryan was there. You're explaining, I said calmly. Not taking responsibility. She looked up sharply. I am. I swear. Then don't blame loneliness, I replied. Blame your choice. Tears rolled down her face. I was confused. You were aware, I corrected. She wiped her cheeks. I didn't think you'd find out. That's why it hurts, I said. Not because you fell. Because you felt safe lying. Her shoulders shook. I hated myself every time. Not enough to stop, I replied. She stood suddenly. I loved you. I met her eyes. Love doesn't hide. She flinched like I slapped her. How did you know? She asked quietly. I heard you, I said. That night, in my room, her face drained of color. You were there? Yes. And you didn't come in? No. Why? She whispered. Because I wanted to see who you'd be when you thought I wasn't watching. She covered her mouth. Oh God. I walked away, I continued. I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I listened. She started crying harder. Why didn't you say something? Because silence tells the truth faster, I said. She sank back onto the couch. I ruined everything. You changed everything, I corrected. She looked up at me, desperate. Can we fix it? I shook my head slowly. No, why not? She pleaded. I'll do anything. That's the problem, I said. You should have done the right thing when it mattered. She reached for my hand. I stepped back. Don't, I said gently. She broke down completely. I was weak. Yes, I replied, and weakness has consequences, she sobbed. Ryan meant nothing. That doesn't help, I said. You still chose him. She looked up through tears. Do you hate me? I thought for a moment. No. She looked surprised. I don't hate you, I continued. I see you clearly now. Her voice trembled. And what do you see? Someone who wanted safety without honesty, I said. Someone who took love for granted. She nodded slowly. I regret it every day. Regret is private, I replied. Damage is permanent. She stood, wiping her face. So this is it? Yes. She hesitated. Say something, anything. I softened my voice. I hope you learn from this. That's all? She asked. That's all, I replied. She walked toward the door, then stopped. I really did love you, I answered honestly. You loved how I made you feel. She didn't argue. When the door closed behind her, the room felt quiet, but not empty. I sat down and exhaled. For the first time, I didn't feel small in her presence. I didn't feel desperate. I felt steady. She confessed. I listened, and I walked away without losing myself. I ran into Ryan outside the bar near my office. He looked thinner, tired, and older than I remembered. When he saw me, he froze. Then he forced a smile. Hey man, he said. Can we talk? I nodded once. Say what you came to say. He swallowed and rubbed his hands together. I messed up. His voice shook, and I could smell alcohol on his breath. It told me everything. Before he even spoke again. I waited, silently, there. Please, he said. I know you hate me. I shook my head. I don't hate you. He looked relieved. Then we can fix this. No, I said calmly. His smile faded. I lost my job, he rushed. Emily's distant. Everything's falling apart. I listened without reacting. That's not my responsibility, I replied. He stared at me like I punched him. You ruined my life, he whispered. Help me. I exhaled slowly before answering. The silence stretched between us. People walked past, ignoring us completely. I stayed still, watching him wait. You want forgiveness, I said. He nodded fast. And respect, he added. And help, I laughed softly. That order tells me everything. He clenched his jaw. I was there for you once. You were waiting, I replied. His eyes narrowed. You think you're better than me now? No, I said. I think I'm done. He stared, breathing hard. I need you. I shook my head slowly and met his eyes. You lost me, I said. Forever. That truth landed harder than anger ever could. He looked completely empty. Then nodded. Ryan's shoulders dropped. So that's it? He asked. After everything? I nodded. You made choices. I made mine. He stepped closer. I didn't think you'd cut me off. I didn't think you'd betray me, I replied. His mouth opened, then closed. I just wanted what you had. And you lost more, I said. He ran a hand through his hair, desperate. Say you'll help. I can't, I said. That chapter is closed. He laughed bitterly. You're cold now. No, I replied. I'm finally honest. The truth left him shaking in silence. He stepped back, defeated. I watched without emotion. Left. I don't deserve this, Ryan said quietly. I answered without raising my voice. You deserve the results of your actions. He flinched. So you're just walking away? I already did, I said. The night I heard you. His eyes widened. You knew? Yes. He looked down, ashamed. I thought you were weak. You were wrong, I replied. That hurt him more than shouting ever could. He nodded slowly, accepting the loss. Take care, I said, turning away. He didn't stop me this time. The lesson had settled deep. Karma didn't shout. It waited, and I walked free. At last, completely. I walked away without looking back. My chest felt light, not heavy. I didn't win by hurting him. I won by refusing to stay connected. His downfall wasn't my goal. My peace was. Each step felt final. I understood then that respect can't be begged for. It can only be lost. That truth followed me into the night quietly. I didn't feel proud. I felt finished. Some endings don't need noise. They just need distance and the courage to leave. I had finally found both. That night. Alone again. Standing. By the time I reached my car, I felt calm. Not happy. Not broken. Just clear. Ryan's voice no longer echoed in my head. Emily's lies no longer mattered. I had faced them both and lost neither myself nor my dignity. That was the real consequence, and it was enough for me. I started the engine and drove away slowly. Tomorrow would be different. Stronger. Mine, I whispered. Goodbye, and meant it. Some losses don't need revenge. They teach you who to protect. I chose myself without hesitation. That choice closed the door forever. And I didn't regret it. Once. My life didn't change all at once. It changed quietly through routines I kept showing up for. You're early again. Mr. Collins said one morning. I like starting ahead, I replied. He nodded. Your work's been sharp lately. I've had focus, I said. That's rare, he replied. Don't lose it. I didn't plan to. After work, I went to the gym. Same time, same pace. No music loud enough to drown thought, just enough to keep rhythm. You're consistent, the trainer said once. I need structure, I answered. At night, I cooked instead of ordering out. Simple meals. Clean dishes. A quiet apartment that felt like mine again. This feels different, I told myself. This feels earned. I stopped checking my phone for names that no longer mattered. When it buzzed, it was usually work or Mark. You're doing better, he said during lunch. I am, I replied. Glad to hear that. So am I. That's when I met Lena. She worked in the same building, different floor. We started talking in the elevator. Long day? She asked. Productive, I said. She smiled. That's a better answer. We grabbed coffee a few days later. No tension. No performance. You're calm, she said. I wasn't always, I replied. She didn't push. She just listened. I'm not looking for anything, I told her. I'm not taking anything. She said. That mattered. We talked about books, work, and silence. She didn't fill gaps just to feel important. You don't overshare, she said once. I learned the value of privacy, I replied. She nodded. Pain teaches boundaries. I liked that she understood without asking for details. There was no romance yet, no promises. Just respect. You seem grounded, she said one evening. I rebuilt myself slowly, I replied. That's the strongest kind, she said. Walking home that night, I thought about how far I'd come. I didn't wake up angry anymore. I didn't replay old conversations. I didn't imagine alternate endings. They're not part of this life, I told myself at work. Mr. Collins stopped by my desk. I'm recommending you for a bigger role, he said. Why? I asked. Because pressure didn't break you, he replied. I smiled. It almost did. But it didn't, he said. That's the difference. Later, Lena texted. Coffee tomorrow? Yeah, I replied. I'd like that. I sat alone that night, thinking about pain. It didn't destroy me, I said quietly. It reshaped me. I wasn't softer. I wasn't colder. I was clearer. I knew what I would tolerate. I knew what I wouldn't chase. This life, I whispered, looking around, exists because I walked away. There was no applause, no dramatic victory. Just peace that didn't need permission. I lay down, breathing evenly, ready for tomorrow, not because everything was perfect, but because everything was finally mine. I saw Emily by accident. I was leaving the grocery store when I noticed her standing near the entrance, staring at her phone like it might explain her life to her. She looked thinner, tired, not broken, just worn down. She looked up and froze when she saw me. Hey, she said quietly. Hey, I replied. We stood there, two strangers holding a history neither of us wanted to touch. You look good, she said. I feel steady, I answered. She nodded slowly. That makes sense. We walked outside together, not close, not far. I didn't expect to see you, she said. Neither did I. She hesitated. Ryan's gone. I know, I replied. Her shoulders slumped. He left. Said he needed a fresh start. I looked at her face and saw regret settle in her eyes. Deep and permanent. And you? I asked. She laughed weakly. I stayed. That's usually the hardest part, I said. She looked at me then. You don't look angry. I'm not. She searched my face. Do you ever feel like you won? I shook my head. This was never a competition. She nodded slowly. I lost myself. I know, I replied. We stood in silence again. It didn't hurt this time. I ruined something real, she said. Yes, I answered calmly. She flinched, then sighed. I deserve that honesty. You always did, I said, her eyes filled, but she didn't cry. I thought leaving you would make things easier. And? I asked. It made everything heavier, she said. I nodded. That's what happens when you trade truth for comfort. She looked down at her hands. Do you ever miss me? I thought before answering. I miss who I thought you were. She swallowed. That hurts. I know, I said softly. She looked up. Ryan never cared the way you did. I didn't care, I corrected. I committed. She exhaled sharply. I didn't understand the difference. I do now, I added. We walked a few steps apart. I heard you're doing well, she said. I am, I replied. With someone new? She asked. With myself, I said. She smiled sadly. That sounds right. We reached the parking lot. I'm glad you didn't destroy me, she said suddenly. I didn't need to, I replied. You did that yourself. She nodded, accepting it without argument. I'm sorry, she said. Not to fix things, just to say it. I accept that, I replied. And I release you. Her eyes widened slightly. You really moved on. I moved forward, I corrected. She smiled faintly. I wish I had been braver. So do I said. She took a step back. Take care, you too, I replied. She walked away without looking back. I stood there, watching her disappear into a crowd that didn't know her story. Ryan wasn't there. The future she imagined wasn't either. They lost each other chasing something temporary. I felt nothing sharp in my chest, no joy. No anger. Just closure. As I drove home, I realized something important. Revenge doesn't always need action. Sometimes silence does the work better. I didn't win by hurting them, I won by becoming unreachable. That was enough. And for the first time I felt complete. I used to think power meant being loved. I thought it meant being chosen, needed, wanted. That version of me chased approval like it was oxygen. You're too good, Ryan once said. I just care, I replied back then. I see him clearly now. I see myself clearly too. I sat alone on my balcony that night, phone in my hand, not scrolling, not waiting, just holding it. You're quiet, Lena said when she called. I'm thinking, I replied. About what? About who I used to be. She didn't interrupt. She never did. I used to bend myself to keep people, I continued. And now? She asked. Now I stand still and see who stays. That's growth, she said softly. I ended the call and leaned back, listening to the city breathe. I wasn't hiding from pain anymore. I wasn't running from memories. I was finally sitting with myself. I remembered the man who stood outside that door and didn't go in. You were scared, I said to myself. Yes, I answered. But you survived. I remembered crying in my car, begging myself not to break. You thought silence meant weakness, I whispered. But it was restraint, I replied. Emily didn't lose me because I stopped loving her. She lost me because I started respecting myself. Ryan didn't lose me because he begged too late. He lost me because I stopped needing his approval. I didn't ruin them, I said out loud. I removed myself. I corrected. That was the difference. At work, Mr. Collins stopped me as I packed up. You've changed, he said. I had to, I replied. For the better, he added. I hope so, I said. You didn't fold, he continued. Most people do. I almost did, I admitted. But you didn't, he said. Remember that. I walked home slowly, not rushed, not lost in thought. Just present. I thought about love. Love isn't sacrifice without limits, I said quietly. It's choice with honesty, I added. I thought about betrayal. It doesn't destroy you, I whispered. It reveals what you tolerate. That truth settled deep. Lena met me downstairs that evening. We walked without holding hands. You seem lighter, she said. I let go of weight that wasn't mine, I replied. She smiled. I like this version of you, so do I said. There was still pain. I didn't pretend otherwise. But pain no longer controlled me. I didn't win by revenge, I told myself. I won by refusing to stay broken. I looked back at the months that nearly crushed me. You didn't beg. I reminded myself. You didn't chase, I continued. You didn't disappear, I finished. I stayed. Not for them. For me, that was my power. I realized something important as I stood there under the quiet sky. Betrayal didn't end my life. It ended a version of me that was afraid to be alone. And in doing that, it forced me to finally live on my own terms. I wasn't saved by love. I was saved by self-respect. I went inside, closed the door gently, and smiled for no reason at all. This life was mine, and I was no longer afraid to live it.